Right Side Broadcasting Network. I'm Melissa Ash, and I am here with Daryl Kipnis, who is running for the 12th Congressional District of New Jersey. How are you doing, Daryl?
I'm fantastic. Thank you so much for having me on, Alyssa.
Yeah, thank you so much for having you on the show. It's such an honor. I've been researching your campaign a little bit, and it's so good to learn about you.
It's good to hear.
Yeah, so first, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm an attorney. I've been practicing for a little over 12 years now, getting on it in New Jersey. I'm a small business owner, father of 3 small children, 9, 7, and 3, 2 girls, 1 boy, and I'm running for Congress to make sure that my children and everybody's children have better opportunities than I had growing up. And to keep on with all the excellent policies and results that the president, the administration, and that the GOP majority in Congress has been getting to the American people.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much. And how has your work as an attorney prepared you to be a potential representative?
Well, I mean, what do you do when you're an attorney? You represent people, and you represent people that are in difficult and often confusing situations in their life, whether, they're facing criminal charges, whether they're buying their first home, whether they're being sued, sometimes for the first times in their lives for various different reasons, whether, you're helping somebody that had an issue with someone get, that issue resolved through the law. You really connect with people that are in tough times and really need somebody to get them through it. And I think everybody deserves that connection with their elected representatives.
Definitely. Thank you so much. And before we break down some of the issues, I wanted to ask you, what is really the heart behind your campaign?
Well, the heart behind my campaign is the idea that somebody can go to Washington that wasn't handpicked by party bosses, by lobbyists, and by the political elite class. And Donald Trump was that. When he was elected president, and he wasn't on a track. He wasn't told this was his term. He wasn't told that now it's your turn to run for president, and that you've been a mayor, you've been an assembly person in the state level. Now you're this. Now you're moving up the ladder. No, he said, I know what the problems are. I know how to fix it. I'm running to be president. Let's make it happen. And for one of the very few times that we get to experience this, you have somebody that ran for elected office that's making good on their campaign promises. And to me, that's a tremendous thing, and that's exactly what I'd like to do.
Definitely, thank you. So just diving right into the issues, one I wanted to start out with is the student loan debt crisis, and how do you plan to stop that?
Well, there's a few things you got to address the cause, and then you got to address the effects. The cause is that so many schools encourage people to go to 4-year colleges, and whether students want to or not, it's pushed by guidance counselors, teachers, and then parents, thinking that that's the be all and end all. And what that happens is it actually creates sort of a negative supply and demand situation where, when it's so heavily subsidized and so heavily pushed, the cost of education goes up, and it oftentimes goes up to a point where people have to take out loans to afford it, and they can't afford to repay back the loans when they graduate because there just aren't opportunities in any given area to make that type of money in the field that you get a degree in. And once you understand that's the cause of why this is happening, then you can address how to get around it and how to fix it. And one is obviously to encourage alternatives to going into 4-year schools and taking out student loan debt. You have to stress the availability of going to a 2-year program and then transferring in. That can save people a lot of money, or go through a trade. And they're, welders get out and make 6 figures. People with 4-year college degrees, or even people that go to law school and they get out, they end up working in restaurants. They end up working in places that don't even use the degree because they can't find a job in the field. And that brings me to the next point of what I want to do, which is to create opportunities in the field that will give people a chance to receive relief from their student loan obligations by sending them to practice their given profession or, their field of education, their field of study in an underserved area where they can make an impact in the lives of people that really need it. There aren't enough programs like that. Certainly for attorneys, there really isn't much out there in terms of how you can get into something that can meaningfully pay back a student loan. Doctors have a little bit more opportunities, but not as many as I'd like. And, these are ways that you can create a chance for somebody to do something with their chosen degree, learn some skills that's better than just saying, okay, I have a law degree, but I'm going to work, I'm going to bust tables because I can't find something. So we want to encourage people to start attacking the obligation early. And then for those that really need it, that are in positions of true hardship, you should be able to obtain relief in bankruptcy. And right now it's difficult, if not impossible, to do that because the standard for obtaining a discharge from a student loan obligation is so high, and even courts don't know what it is or how to apply it. So we want legislation that will clearly give people that are in really, really dire straits that opportunity. And if you can't get past your student loan debt, we want to make it, you can't start your life. Maybe we can introduce some programs to allow people to roll it into their mortgages on their first houses so that they can work on paying both obligations at the same time. There's so many different ways to go about doing it, and we just don't try hard enough.
Definitely. And while we're on the subject of education, why do you believe it should be on a state or local level compared to national?
What do you mean by that?
Just kind of reading through your campaign, you really said that you wanted education to be on a state or local level, and you wanted to. Yeah.
We don't want a lot of federal control over what happens at a local level. That's in New Jersey. We have elected school boards, and we're looking at consolidation of districts because we have too many. But we want to keep. My general philosophy is limited government interference in local affairs. We want to make help available for where the help is needed, but we don't want to create situations that require overreach or result in overreach. Nothing requires overreach. So. That's the general philosophy behind that. Merging, the president had an idea to merge the Department of Education with the Department of Labor, which I think is a tremendous idea, and I think it can solve a lot of the problems that students face when they're in school and when they get out and they're looking for jobs.
Mm-hmm. And do you know what some effects of that merger would be?
I'm sorry? I couldn't hear you.
Do you know what some effects of that merge would be?
It was proposed. I haven't heard too much about it since the article was out there, but the general idea of it is to consolidate the two departments so that there is more synergy between, education transitioning into the workforce.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
All right. So that's a big thing for me. And that goes to my point about the student loan crisis before, where there's, a lot of pressure to go and take out the loans and spend the big money to go to school. And then once you're done and you're starting your responsible adult life, that's when you have some difficulties with processing it all and moving forward.
And kind of moving on to infrastructure, I was kind of reading your position on this, and it said that you plan on maximizing the appropriation of tax dollars to improve infrastructure in New Jersey.
Correct. And this is what I mean by that. New Jersey, as many people know, is 50 out of 50 or very close to it in terms of federal money that we send to Washington in terms of taxpayer dollars versus what we get back in return. New Jersey's been the piggy bank of the country for many, many years. We've funded, states that don't pay into the federal system as much as we do by far, like Alabama, Mississippi, places like that. And when we elect people to Congress in New Jersey that send our money there, we're not really representing the district. You need somebody that's going to go in there that's going to say, hey, wait a minute, we have a real issue with the Trenton Waterworks right now where people weren't able to drink the water. We have so many, our roads are crumbling, bridges need help. And the state and our pension system, the state pension system is having problems, and our state legislature can't handle it. There just isn't the money in New Jersey's treasury to address all of this. So what we're asking for is not so much a bailout. We're just asking for New Jersey to be treated the way that it always should have been in terms of federal appropriations coming in. The people that are in there now aren't loud enough about it. They aren't strong enough about it. They aren't persistent enough about it. and I certainly will be.
Yes, thank you. And can you tell me about your rainy day account proposal, which is
Yes.
tax-free savings for emergencies, right?
Yes, this has never been done. And I think it'll be tremendously helpful to the working class in New Jersey and all throughout the country. What this will do is, my plan is, as long as you're not in the two highest federal tax brackets, that's the wealthiest among us. As long as you don't fall into that category, what you're going to be able to do is save a certain amount of money each year. The exact amount, I want it to be as high as possible, but I picked $5,000 as a reasonable number. That you'll be able to save directly deposited from your paycheck into a bank account that's a rainy day account, no federal income taxes, so you pay no federal taxes on this. And then that money will be available to you if you have an emergent circumstance that comes up where you have any type of expense that exceeds a certain amount of your regular gross income, anything that's unexpected, like a tree falls on your house, your transmission dies in your car, you have a medical bill where there's a $3,000 deductible where it's really high, things like that. And these circumstances come up in everyone's lives. And one of the things that recently came out is a study was done that says that 40% of all Americans can't scrape together $400 in savings in the event of an emergency. And when I ask people, why isn't money saved? They often tell me, well, we can't afford to save anything. And that's true, because there's so many people living paycheck to paycheck. So what I want to do is to make it so that you can't afford not to save money. It encourages self-reliance. It encourages individual responsibility. And if you end up not needing the money, you could put it into a 401k or put it into a retirement account. So we need to encourage people, especially young people, to save for when unexpected things come up. And I think that'll be tremendously helpful to the American people.
Yes, that's fantastic. And you said it's never been done before, right?
Yes, it's never been done before. There's never been a specific type of account that you can save tax-free money in for an emergency of that nature that'll be available to everybody in the country as long as you're not in the two highest federal tax brackets. I think the middle class, certainly this is in line with the president's objectives, make America great again. And I think that the banking industry will be very happy to see that a lot more people are becoming customers. So that'll just help, the American investment and help the people all across the board.
Definitely. And kind of switching gears a little bit to immigration, I saw that you support the DREAM Act, or DACA. Could you expand on that a little bit more?
Yes, I think you got to think practically. I don't think it's practical to tell somebody that's known no other country other than America since they were very, very young, and maybe not even speak any other language but English, that you need to leave and come back in order to have a path here. So I think we got to do something, and Congress shamefully hasn't acted on it. A lot of people in the Democrats, unfortunately, are so polarized and they're so unwilling to work with the majority that, nothing's been done. They'd rather keep it alive as a political issue rather than, take action and resolve it. And I want to take action and resolve it. So we have to do something for people that fall into that category that are here and that are just as American as you and I. So I certainly would like to do something there. I'm very disappointed, but not surprised that it hasn't been done yet. And if it's not done by the time I'm in there, I want to make sure it gets taken care of. We have a lot of people in New Jersey that would benefit from that.
And how do you kind of find that balance between supporting immigrant families while also keeping our border?
Well, it's not a balance that should be hard to find, and the president says it every day. It's an easy balance to find, and unfortunately, members in Congress are self-interested and can't work together on it. It's simple. It's two concepts. Secure our border. You need ICE. You certainly need them to enforce our laws and to keep people safe from people that are present in the country that should not be here, that are actually actively causing problems and are very hurtful and dangerous. And you absolutely need them. And all the talk about the left of abolishing ICE is ridiculous. And I think that has to be, nipped in the bud very quickly. ICE is here to stay. And my opponent was a voted present on the resolution by the House to support ICE. So, that should tell you everything that you need to know right there. And yes, we need a wall. We absolutely need a wall. Maybe someday we'll be at a point where we can tear the wall down, but right now we need it.
Yes, and you are an immigration lawyer.
I do, yeah. I help people with immigration. It's not the main thing that I do in my practice, but I do it, and I see how difficult it is and how expensive it is. With the key word being the expense. Assuming that you could get in and get a visa and all of that, it could cost a lot of money to do that, and there's different stages of it where you have to pay quite a bit. So, lessening some of those fees is on my agenda, and also, the time that it takes to go through it. I mean, I've had clients that haven't heard from USCIS in 9 months, 10 months, and so on, and that's not acceptable. People need to know where they stand and that their petitions are moving forward.
So that experience has really helped to prepare you for
Yeah,
helping with legal immigration.
Well, yeah, I see firsthand, what the issues are, and I know what suggestions need to be made.
So good. So switching gears a little bit, I know you're a huge supporter of Israel, being a conservative Jew, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Awesome. So tell me, why do you think the bond between the U.S. and Israel should be strengthened, and what measures should be taken?
Well, moving the embassy to Jerusalem is a very important move, and you can see that from everybody that was there on that day and what the meaning of that was. Unfortunately, my opponent's been very weak on that issue. She has gone the wrong way. She supported the Iran deal. She boycotted Benjamin Netanyahu when he spoke to the joint address. She wouldn't even be in the room with him. And when the Iran deal was revoked by the president, she was very vocal about what a disaster that would be. And it's going to be just like a lot of the rest of them, that it's the apocalypse is coming. And we obviously know that not to be the case. She signed a letter from the J Street lobby, which asked for $70 million in taxpayer money to go to Gaza for what she says is humanitarian aid. But, who controls the money there is Hamas. So there's no real way of accomplishing that without, terrorist forces getting their hands on the money. And she also voted against the omnibus bill, which included this Taylor Force Act in there, which is had very important provisions in there. Even back when Obama was president in 2015, she voted against the 2015 Trade Facilitation and Trade Enforcement Act, and that had anti-BDS provisions in that. Obama signed it. The president then at the time signed it, and she voted no. I don't know what the story behind that one is, but, it shows her position that she's very weak on Israel. And that's not acceptable to me as a Jewish American.
Definitely. And tell me about some of her work that you would like to undo if you're elected.
What's that? I'm sorry? I didn't get that.
Tell me about some of Representative Coleman's work that she's done so far while she's in office that you'd like.
Well, I mean, if you look at her record, she's voted no 90% of the time that she's there. 90% of the time. Less than 20 yes votes in 3.5 years in Washington. And that's before Trump became president. And now I see her voting against things that make all the sense in the world. But she'll vote no as long as the president supports it, because she feels a need to resist everything that he does, no matter what it is, including the Stop School Violence Act, which would have given $20 million or so extra dollars in federal money for school safety. She voted against the Fix NICS Act, which would have fixed background checks for firearm purchases. Why? Because the Republicans and the president support it. When you vote no on everything, you're not building the relationships across the aisle necessary to get things done for your district and to represent all of the people that you're elected to represent. And I think that's unacceptable.
Switching gears a little bit, tell me about some events you've been able to have for your campaign.
Sure. We had recently had a forum with some high school students through the Princeton University Journalism program, where I spoke to them about what I want to accomplish for them when I'm there. And I wish I could have stayed there forever, because they were asking me great questions. And they were very shocked to hear that a Republican was saying things that made sense to them. And that was a good thing. I'm happy to see that type of exchange that went on. And we recently had a very successful fundraiser at the Trump National Golf Club in Bedminster. It was a wonderful, wonderful event. And we'll have much more coming up. I was at a lot of the local county fairs, talking to people over the last week in Somerset County and Middlesex County. And it was great meeting everybody there. And there'll be plenty more opportunities and plenty more events coming up. We'll get to connect with. I want to connect with everybody that has any questions about what's going on and how I can best help them.
Yes, that's so good. And how can people connect with you on social?
Okay, my Twitter is Kipnis, Kipnis, 4, and then Congress. It's at Kipnis for Congress. You can also search the same thing on Facebook, and you can find my page, Daryl Kipnis for Congress, on Facebook there. And you can also connect with me via email at kipnisforcongress@gmail.com. There's also Instagram, Kipnis for Congress as well.
Okay.
And the website, www.kipnisforcongress.com.
Perfect, thank you. And out of all
We'd
the
love to hear from
issues,
everyone.
yes, for sure. So out of all the issues we talked about, what issue is really most important to you and why?
Well, obviously, it's two issues. It's the same two things that I want for every American that the president wants for every American. We want you to be safe. We want you to be prosperous. National security and pocketbook issues are the two most important things for me. And when you have my opponent supporting the Iran deal and then voting against tax cuts, it's clear that she's on the wrong side of what needs to be done and what the American people, what's in the best interest of the American people, is to have a strong military that keeps you safe, and a strong economy that keeps you prosperous and helps you meet all your obligations and build a family and build for the future. And that's how I'll approach my responsibilities down there, to keep you safe and to keep you prosperous and to keep things moving forward.
Yes, thank you so much, Daryl. That's good. And when can people get out and vote for you?
November 6th.
Okay.
November 6th. Today was the ballot drawing in the 4 different counties all across the state, but in the 4 different counties that are part of the 12th district. And there'll be announcements shortly as to what column you'll be able to find me in, and the other Republicans running, from Bob Hugan for U.S. Senate. We're going to send in a Marine and beat Bob Menendez and end his tenure in Washington, which should have ended a while ago, but doesn't matter. We're going to take care of that this November. And everybody else running at every level. We have a socialist governor in New Jersey now, and we have a lot of elected representatives that really aren't getting it. And at least the ones that I'm running with and a lot of the others across the state on our side, we know exactly what the problems are. We know how to fix it. We're here for you, and we're working for you every day.
Yes, that's so great. And is there anything else you want to add?
No, that's basically it. I welcome everybody's support. I know people say that the 12th district is typically a Democrat district, but there's nothing typical about the Democrats right now other than the fact that they're moving further and further to the left. And you see it with the walkaway movement trending on social media. People haven't left that party. The party has left them, and now people are leaving the party and walking away and are open to other options. And, I hope that when given the opportunity to choose freedom, the American people will make that choice every time. And a vote for me is a vote for freedom.
Yes, thank you so much, Daryl. Really appreciate learning more about you
Thank
and
you
your
so much.
campaign. And
Thank you so much for having me on.
yeah, thank you for your time, and best of luck, and good luck with your
Thank you.
travels.